Hello, this is Karen, and today let's talk about layoffs and what I really think about what's happening in the world. I'm sure some of you may have already read my blog posts about layoffs and advice and resources for how to get through this tough time. But today's video is really about my honest thoughts and feelings about the situation. So let's get started. First, let's get into how I feel work-wise. So January was actually a very busy month at work for me because I was working on a very high visibility project. And so when the layoffs news came out, I actually didn't have much time or energy to actually pay attention to what was going on because I was more focused on doing a good job and meeting and exceeding the expectations of our office CEO and office of the Chief Commercial Officer. I did have a lot of friends reach out to me and send me articles asking if Jackie and I were okay. But some of you may already know that these Microsoft layoffs are taking place over a few months. And so it's really hard to say right now if you're actually safe. On my team, we're actually still hiring for a senior communications manager. So that is a good sign. However, I feel like you can never be too confident about things because a long time ago, I was mentored by a senior vice president, and she told me that no one, no matter how skilled, experienced, or high up in the corporate ladder you are, is indisposable. At the same time, I feel like my motivation levels have not really changed. I've always brought my A game to work, and I don't see the threat of layoffs changing that because regardless of what happens, I care about the impact that I make at work, and I want to make sure that I have good impact to show on my resume and to talk about in my interviews. What did change was my priority on documentation, which I think is really important both for a personal reason and for the team. On the personal level, documenting your impact is really important because you don't want to forget all the good work that you've done or times when you've gotten a shout out. For example, on my recent project, my teammate and I got a shout out from our corporate vice president, which I thought was really cool and is actually quite rare. That's definitely something that you want to highlight for the future. A tip is to actually save these into a Bragg doc or a Smile file so that when you have performance reviews or career conversations with your manager, you can actually bring these up. At the team level, I do think that documenting is important so that there's visibility around what you're doing and the projects that you're on. I think some people like to hoard all the knowledge and experience to themselves because they think it makes them indisposable. But I've already shared earlier that I don't think anyone can be indisposable. That's why I think as team players, all of us should make an effort to actually document our processes so that even if something were to happen, knock on wood, at least the next person knows what to do and how to do it. With all the change and uncertainty going on from reorgs to layoffs, I think documentation and knowledge transition should be a priority for everyone, especially managers and leadership. Otherwise, there's just going to be so much churn and spin trying to get things up again that the employees who are left are going to be so burnt out and frustrated. At the same time, we're in a very delicate situation here, and it probably wouldn't be wise or nice of managers to start asking their team members to document their R&R, because this could be seen as a red flag and start raising eyebrows and cause even more concern and anxiety on the team. So my recommendation for those of you who haven't been laid off yet is to actually take the initiative yourselves and start creating a process, guide, or playbook for your team. You should be doing this regardless because one day you will be moving on, and you want to make sure that you have great transition documentation in place. It's also an opportunity to show your impact and leave a legacy because you're going to become that team member who doesn't just care about your own success, but also about the team's success even when you're gone. This also helps your personal brand by leaving things on a good note because you never know who you're going to be working with again in the future. Aside from all this layoff stuff, I am really glad that I'm on an awesome team with a great manager who is really supportive of my growth as an early career. If I am lucky enough to stay at Microsoft, I have a lot of big plans and goals that I hope to achieve in the years to come. But even if it's not at Microsoft, I know that I'll still make an impact somewhere else in the world. Now let's talk about how I feel life-wise. So I will admit that things have changed a lot in the past year, and it's causing me to question a lot of stuff. I spent the past 12 months moving across the border from Canada to the US and going through the struggles of immigration and adulting. It was a great learning experience, don't get me wrong, and I am really grateful for everyone who's been a part of it, but it was still very tough and it was draining at times. And now that I feel like we're finally settled down and we have a rhythm and routine going on, there's this air of uncertainty looming over us, and it kind of feels like the rug can be pulled at any second. So at this point, I'm thinking that it would be hugely inconvenient if Jackie or I were to get laid off, because we're both on working visas and we'd only have 60 days to find another job, or we'd have to scramble to pack up our bags once again and move back home. I still feel so privileged and proud to be a Canadian, and that my hometown is only an hour and a half away from here. I like to think of myself as an optimist, and that even if something were to happen, it would be serendipitous and everything would work itself out in time. I would say I've already had 3 amazing years at Microsoft right out of university, and I've reached a place in my career where I thought it would take a few more years to get to. If I take all of this bigger picture into consideration, I really have no right to complain about things. And sure, it's complicated, it's confusing, and not ideal, but there are a lot of other people out there who would be a lot more negatively impacted by this. I think about the people who have made the US their home over the past decade and are now being forced to go back to their home country, which is now foreign to them. I also think about the parents or those who are sole providers for their families and maybe don't have savings. All of these situations seem way worse. Yet, if we compare it to all the other shit that's happening in other parts of the world, it seems like it's first world problems. So now it feels like I'm going on a philosophical tangent, so I'm just gonna wrap this video up and say that there's still a lot of uncertainty, but no more and no less than when the pandemic first hit us in 2020. All of our struggles are still struggles, and at the end of the day, it's important for all of us to focus on our mental and physical health so that we can get through all of this madness in one piece. Once we can do that, we can then help and support other people and bring them along the journey so that we can get through this together. For those of you who were impacted by the layoffs, I wanted to share that my career blog, kakarianism.com, has a lot of resources that can help you out. From fixing up your resume to creating a career walking deck that can stand out in interviews, or even making a career transition, I have a lot of content on there based off of the hundreds of career conversations that I've had with people around the world and who have had many different experiences. Hopefully you will find some inspiration like I did, because I would never write about something that I didn't find inspiring myself or didn't find helpful. And with that, I'd like to thank you for watching my second vlog this year, and I hope that you like, comment, and subscribe so that I can bring you on this crazy journey we call life. My quote of the day is to stop being worried about what could go wrong and to start being positive about what could go right. See you next time.